think about how hard you're hitting it. So it's folly to steer. Folly to steer, okay? So that's what I'm thinking about Chicago Open. Turn the shoulders, go back. That's really good. Hit the 243. And Sneed, I use Sneed to putt. He says put your master eye over the leading edge of the putter, and the only thing you think about is the speed. And I'll be danged if I didn't, after 26, I doubled the bogey the 26th hole, and it put me 5 over par for the tournament at the Beverly Country Club, which is a really hard course. And I'm thinking to myself, you're going to miss the cut. He said, you better tighten up your swing. And so the next hole is a 600-yard double dogleg par 5, the 18th at Beverly. And I said, just let's see if we can put the ball in the fairway for starters, because let's see if we can make a par on this one. So I managed to do that. I said, okay, now let's see if we can get the second shot in the fairway. And I think I hit a 3-iron just to keep it in the fairway. And I said, well, now let's see if we can get him on the green. So I hit a 6-iron on the green about 40 feet, and I two-putted. So I got my par, which is a good score on that hole. And then on the next, the first hole, which was my 10th hole, I said, this hole's only 350. If you can get it in the fairway off the tee, you're going to have a wedge left. If you're a good wedge player, you might be able to make a birdie. So I got it in the fairway, hit the wedge about 10 feet, made the putt for a birdie. I played the rest of that nine, 3 under, so I was 4 under for that night. I started out the next day, played that same night, shot that 4 under, and then birdied 12 and 13. I was 10 under through 21 holes at the Beverly. You have to play the Beverly to appreciate how good that score is. I mean, but that's how I thought every guy. I'm using my Hogan swing and my three-putting swing. Chicago Open's got a long history. Ken McCurry won it, Hogan won it, Sneed won it, Byron Nelson won it. I mean, Luke Donald won it the year after I won it. Michael Jordan was playing it the year I won it, So to have my name on that trophy, and I got this big check, and I got these my picture's hanging at the club at the Beverly. So I'm like, that was something else. So now I come to Michigan, and 2003, I'm playing in the Michigan Senior Open. I was in the backyard playing catch with my son. I tripped and fell on my shoulder. I thought I tore a rotator cuff. MRI, no rotator cuff, but I couldn't hardly swing. So the tournament was in June, so I'd only played like 3 weeks. So I could hardly swing at Bedford Valley, which is where I won the Michigan Open when I was an amateur. So all I tried to do there was keep my eye on the ball. That's all I tried to do. I'll be danged. I managed to birdie the 18th hole, the first round, just to shoot even par. The next day I shot 68 and I won. Well, 2 or 3 weeks later, I tee it up at there, up in Traverse City, and I shoot 73 the first round, putted terrible. The night before, or after that round, after we had dinner, I had my 2 boys with me. I think they were 10 years old at the time, twin boys. Worked on my putting on the carpet, made an adjustment to my putting. Next day I shoot 65. Next day I shoot 69, and then in horrible weather I shoot 74, but I win in the playoff. So I'm the only player in the history of Michigan golf to ever win the Michigan Senior Open and the Michigan Open in the same year. So I'm the only guy that ever could do that. So that's harder to do even than win the Michigan Open as an amateur. So that's why I can come up here and give advice about golf, I think, compared to most everybody else. So what was I thinking about there? Guess what? Keep your eye on the ball. So you can see the theme that runs through those those wins. Not just good golf. I watched the Michigan PGA. I get my protege, Matt Pesta, should have won, but he just couldn't get it done. Good tournament, but to win, it's hard. So they're simple sound bites, and most of them are keeping your eye on the ball, tucking your right elbow in. You know, I set the course record at my club in Chicago, and just tucking my right elbow in. You know, I can see that theme run through all these things. So the point of all this is that you have to take all this information and you have to simplify it. So now, you know, I've been playing good this year. I'm just using my I'm thinking sledgehammer. Okay. So the club goes back kind of slow. I come over a little bit. I hold the face open and the arms come in. So I'm playing this power fade. I'm thinking sledgehammer. And I've hit a lot of good shots. So what I'd like to do now is just talk about, you know, since I've been doing these clinics and group lessons, I want to make sure that I talk about the general information that applies to all golfers. And that always starts with the grip. Left-hand grip, it's on the top of the club. Common mistake, you have it on the side of the club with the left thumb on the top, okay? You want your left thumb on the right side of the grip. So see how my hand, if I open it up, the back of my hand doesn't point down the fairway, and it doesn't point towards you, it points about halfway in between. That's called a strong left-hand grip. Why is it called a strong left-hand grip? Because it hits strong shots. This is a weak left-hand grip. Why do they call it a weak left-hand grip? Because it hits weak shots, because it opens the face and adds loft. It turns a 6 iron into an 8 iron. All right. So, also, here's your left thumb. You can have a medium left thumb, you can have a short left thumb, or you can have a long left thumb. The longer you slide that club down, that left thumb down the shaft, the more you can cock your wrists. So golfers that need help keeping their wrist cocked longer on the downswing will benefit from a strong stronger left-hand grip and a longer left thumb. I learned that from Mac O'Grady. Okay. Right hand. Groove of the right, or life height of the right hand. It's on the left thumb. Wrap your fingers around. You can either Varden overlap or interlock like Nicklaus or Woods. My dad taught me to interlock. I interlocked until I got to be a freshman in college. I hit so many balls on the practice tee in college that this finger and this finger became so swollen that they would not go together. So I had to overlap. But they're still replacing the divots that I took when I was in college at Indiana University. That's how many balls I hit. The key factors in the right-hand grip are this right thumb and the upper part of your hand. You have to pinch that together. When you pinch that together, the thumb curls up and the trigger finger drops down so that there's a gap between the trigger finger and the middle finger. See the gap? So that's how the right-hand grip is. And the right-hand grip's on the side. If I open up my hand, it's on the side. So if I were to slap something, wham! That's how you do it. You wouldn't come in like this or like this. This is your power hand. This is your control hand. So common mistakes with the right-hand grip are holding like this. You see how wobbly that is? So you can hold a baseball bat like that because it's that big around, but not a golf club. It's only that big around, so you have to hold it in your fingers. And when you hit a golf ball, that has to be like a vice. No wobble. Because you're hitting the ball and the ground. Unless you're hitting a driver. Grip pressure, you hold it kind of medium. And then it just naturally tightens going back, tightens coming down, and it's really tight when it hits the ball. It's just like using a fork. Okay, you hold a fork kind of medium or kind of light. But when you go to stab that piece of meat or fish or vegetables, it burns up to offset the contact. So that's how grip pressure works. So I see it over and over again. Weak left-hand grips and right hands like this. And so now it's just a mess. The grip's almost everything in golf. Left arm stays straight, going back, straight coming down, straight when it hits the ball, and it folds after you hit the ball. Common mistakes are too much bending going back and buckling like this coming through. Okay. Wrists, here's how they cock like this. They don't bend back. They cock. So if you cock your wrist up and turn your shoulders, you're going to be pretty darn close to being where you should be. Common mistakes, weak left-hand grip, high hands, too much knees, and bending the wrist back. That closes the face, the ball never gets off the ground. All right? Whenever I see anybody do that on the range, I always go over to him. I did it last night. I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, look, I'm not trying to intrude, but you have to stop doing that or you're going to quit golf. Because we can't get the ball up in the air, golf's no fun. So that all starts with that grip. Right arm folds in going back, tucks in coming down. It's bent when it hits the ball and straightens after it hits the ball. Wrists, they cock going back, they increase their cock coming down, and they uncock at the bottom. The head, it stays pretty steady, but moves a little bit off the ball going back, a little bit down and forward to start. It moves back and up when you hit the ball, and it finishes over your front foot when you follow through. Common mistakes, keeping your head down. That's what they look like. It doesn't work. Eyes, I talked about proprioception, both eyes on the ball. At address, going back, coming down, you hit the ball, and as soon as you hit the ball, you follow that ball with your eyes. Common mistake, same thing. And where to go. So you can't follow through if you keep your head down. Shoulders, I talked about the big shoulder turn. Your body's like a giant spring. It coils from the top down. Shoulders turn the hips, hips turn the knees, knees turn the ankles. Golf is primarily a rotation sport. Big turn going back and a big turn coming through, and just a tiny lateral center of gravity shift towards the target in between. So it's 98% rotation and 2% shift. If you asked everybody on the range right now what they're doing, they say, trying to shift my weight, trying to drive those hips, because I heard on the Golf Channel, and I read in the magazine, that's where you get more distance from the hips. So they're like this. You know, they don't turn, they got bad grips, cut across the ball, but they're driving their hips. The fitness guys, that's all they talk about is core and the hips, because that's where the power is. But if you got a bad grip, you cut across the ball, I don't care what you do with your hips. Golf is primarily an upper body sport. Shoulders, arms, and hands, shoulders, arms, and hands, shoulders, arms, and hands, shoulders, arms, and hands. If you master the shoulders, arms, and hands, the hips, everything else is going to fall into place. You'll find you really don't have to worry about the hips. If you turn going back, because of the way you're built, your weight's going to go to your back foot. Because if I got both shoulders on either side of the ball, and then I put both of them on the other side of the ball, I got more weight on my back foot just because of turning. So you don't have to worry about shifting your weight. A little bit of weight shift to start, and then hold that finish on the follow through. Classic swing thoughts. I talked about one, pausing at the top, but back to the target, belt buckle to the target. Hold the finish till the ball hits the ground. So if you under-rotate going back and under-rotate coming through, you're slapping at it with your hands and wrists and arms. So, no good.
Bob, your right leg,
Yeah.
that knee, is that leg straight through the backswing?
It's okay if it straightens, but the primary thought is just like my college coach, like throwing a discus, it's called the athletic crouch. See how you maintain that flex? So you don't straighten it. It's okay to straighten it, but it's preferred to keep it flexed. Especially if you're skinny and live, it'll restrict your turn a little bit. If you have trouble turning, then don't keep your right knee bent. Because whenever you bend your knee, it's like coming through, same thing. If you flex your left knee coming through, your hips won't turn. So you want to straighten that leg coming through so your hips can turn. So if you maintain the flexion of your right knee, that's good form. If you don't, you still make a good turn, and most importantly, hit the ball. It's not that big a deal. That's again, that's all that lower body. Everybody's talking about the lower bodies. Well, and so now the feet, right foot's flared out an eighth of a turn, left foot's flared out a quarter turn, because the feet govern the pivot. Hips turn 45 going back, 290 coming through. Just a slight knee bend at address. You lean over till your upper body's at about a 45-degree angle to the ground, like this. Here's the club coming out of the ground at a 45-degree angle. Here's your upper body. So the upper body's rotating